I've seen, I can't even count how many lions or leopard sightings I've seen, and you start getting a bit greedy. You kind of like, oh, that's just, there's just lions, they're just sleeping. And you kind of have to pinch yourself and remind yourself that, yes, I've seen sleeping lions hundreds of times, but the group of guests sitting on the back of this vehicle, this is the first and possibly last time they might see lions ever. And you got to, and when you turn around and see all the cameras out and the photos and the smiles and pure joy, you're like, okay, this works. This is why I do this. And it really just reminds you that how special, even though you've seen it so many times, how special and rare it actually is in life.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Passport Diaries, a one-of-a-kind travel podcast that takes you to unique and off-the-beaten-path places all around the world. I'm Jackie Sherwin, your travel store host, and you just heard a clip of today's guest, Jaryd Povall. Jaryd represents the Dulini Safari Lodges that are based in the Sabi Sand Nature Reserve in South Africa. For a little orientation, they are right next to the Kruger National Park, which is world famous for its game viewing, beautiful vistas, etc. And for many years, Jaryd used to work as a safari guide. So he sat down with us and we asked him all about what it was like to take people on game drives and how it was kind of a rock star thing to want to be as a kid. He's got great stories, really great tips for anybody looking to go on safari, and some really cool insider perspectives. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can watch the video portion of our podcast. Or if you just want to listen along, feel free to follow us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, or pretty much anywhere that you get your podcasts so you never miss another episode. And with that, let's join Sherwin Banda from African Travel and Jaryd Povall from Dulini. So Jaryd, you said that you were a guide when you first started working in this industry. What is it like to take people out on safari? Kind of give me an idea of what a day on safari looks like, and especially from a guide's perspective.
Yeah, I'll definitely dive into this. It's interesting because a lot of people see guiding as, I imagine the way I've always likened it is to being like when you're 5 or 6 years old and people say, what would you like to be? And you want to be a firefighter, a police officer, a pilot, those sort of glitz and glamour jobs. And I could liken being a guide to that, where it's this incredible lifestyle and you're living out in the bush. You're going on these game drives and walks every day. You go to sleep listening to lions and hyenas calling. There's something really special about it. But it is a tough lifestyle to live. You work really long hours and long work days. But you do it, and when you drive, you spend an hour or whatever it might be, a half an hour tracking and finding a pride of lions. And you eventually find them, and you and your tracker are super excited that you've managed to do this for the guests in the back of the vehicle. And you sort of turn around and you see these smiles on their faces. You can be on day 50 of a 55-day cycle, and you turn around, you see these smiles. You're like, you know what? This is why I do what I do. This is where it is. That's that pure emotion and joy that guests show it brings you back every day. And I'm still lucky enough, even though I've stopped guiding full time. I've got about 6 groups, families and couples that I go and drive every year or two whenever they come back and visit us. So I get to get my khaki clothes on and get to go out and explore quite a lot again with them. And it's really good fun. And it comes right back. I can't even count how many lions or leopard sightings I've seen. And you start getting a bit greedy. You kind of like, oh, there's just lions, they're just sleeping. And you kind of have to pinch yourself and remind yourself that, yes, I've seen sleeping lions hundreds of times, but the group of guests sitting on the back of this vehicle, this is the first and possibly last time they might see lions ever. And you got to, and when you turn around and see all the cameras out and the photos and the smiles and pure joy, you're like, okay, this works. This is why I do this. And it really just reminds you that how special, even though you've seen it so many times, how special and rare it actually is in life. So that's the more guiding side of it. But the day in safari, they are long days, but they're really fun and at the same time relaxing. From a guest side, I way prefer going back as a guest. Let's put it that way. One, there's a lot less pressure in having to find animals, so you can actually relax and enjoy. And especially in the afternoon, you can sit back on a gin and tonic and really just immerse yourself in looking for animals. But your day starts early. You're up before sunrise. You having morning teas, coffees, getting ready to go. Then you head out early mornings, often nice and chilly in the mornings. You've got jackets on, even in summer, it can be quite cool. And as the day warms up, you start taking off your jackets and your layers. You have to dress a bit like an onion sometimes and dress in layers. And sort of you're out and about looking for animals. You stop for a morning coffee out in the bush, watch sort of the day come to life a little bit. And then you're back for breakfast, beautiful big breakfast that not just our lodge, I think all lodges serve, because by the time you get back after a couple hours out in the bush, you are hungry. And that's siesta time. After that, you have naps, you swim, you relax all day by the lodge, at the lodge by the pool. If you want to go for walks, you can. Guides will take you out for walks during that time, looking for different things. And there's something quite special. We touched on walking safaris earlier. There's something quite special about being on foot in the bush. You break that barrier of sort of that security barrier of having the vehicle. So it's a bit more natural. It's a little bit more wild. So I always suggest people get out onto the foot. Some people are too scared to do it, but most people are happy to get out. And you suddenly now walking through, you can hear the birds, you can hear the wind blowing through the trees because you don't have this vehicle that you're driving around on. And your senses are just super heightened to absolutely everything. So you get this, like it's a sensory overload experience being on foot in the bush. So we always encourage our guides, and I always encourage my guests as much as possible to get out off the vehicle, get walking, get exploring animals on foot. But it's done in a very sensitive way too, and safe way. So just to jump on the walking thing again, whenever we have walking safaris, you always try walk and watch animals and get away from the animals without them knowing you were ever there. Animals are naturally quite scared of humans on foot from years and years of being hunted, and just this different thing, walking on two legs, whatever it might be, from your predators to your big, large herbivores, most of the time they see a human on foot, they're going to run away. So you very much want to be able to keep as much sensitivity towards them as possible by not letting them smell you, see you, hear you. So it's very quiet, and you kind of get into your own head a little bit, which is for some people really nice, some people not so nice. But it is something I always encourage. And then sort of post walk, you have another swim, you relax, ready for lunch, and then head off after lunch for high tea and game drive for the afternoon. And for me, I always liked the afternoon game drives. They were always quite special, sort of out and about, watching the sunset going down, having a drink, enjoying the afternoon and evening before starting a little bit of a night drive, looking for the nocturnal animals. So always quite a special time of day for everyone. Well, I always felt it was special for everyone.
I would love to hear more about what it's like at night. You said walking, doing a walking tour, and then you had said something about, as a guide, what it's like listening to the nocturnal animals and hearing just the sounds around you at night after doing the full day of safari. Because I think a lot of people picture safari, it's all during the day, then it winds down at night and you get dinner and you go to sleep. But what happens at night?
It's a very interesting one. I think if you have to ask South Africans about nocturnal and night drives, that we have this mindset that the sun goes down, every predator and every nocturnal animal comes running out, and there's just millions of them everywhere, which is not the case. It's sometimes you can go out at night and see absolutely nothing. But when I say see absolutely nothing in terms of game viewing, but there's something incredibly special about the bush at night, be it the sound of a lion or a leopard in the distance calling, or hyenas bellowing here or there, sort of as they're starting to wake up and get going and finding food. That even as something as simple as just turning the engine off of your car, turning all the lights off and looking at the stars, because you're in probably one of the darkest areas that 99% of guests arrive. Well, this will be the best star viewing they'll ever have. There's no light pollution, so you get these beautiful night stars, and for 3 or 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it might be, you just sit and enjoy. I even encourage guests to use binoculars to look at the stars, which sounds ridiculous, but you're kind of seeing the sky, and then you put binoculars on and you're seeing about 1 million more stars. It's incredible how much extra light binoculars let in when you look at the night sky. So there's always things to do at night, even if you're not seeing tons of animals. So it's always worthwhile spending a little bit of time after dark just out and about in the bush playing around. However, in the luxury lodge space, we very much sort of back for dinner at that sort of kind of just post that evening setting in time. But we can always pop people back out and We actually have done astronomy courses with our guides. So we actually encourage people to go back out and sit out and look at the stars and learn a little bit about the southern hemisphere stars, which for most of our guests being from the northern hemisphere, it's a very different sky that we see. So it's always quite exciting. I'll say my most commonly asked question that I used to get about the stars whenever we used to turn off was, so where's the big and little dipper? And you kind of sit there going like, you're not going to see that here. It's always quite interesting. But yeah, so the night times are very, very special. And I can't tell you how often we're sitting out at a boma or a bush dinner, even at just a normal dinner in our lodge, and you'll hear those leopards calling or the lions or whatever it might be coming through. It's very special at night. It's probably the thing I miss the most about not living in the bush permanently anymore, is listening to the sounds of the bush, that sort of as it goes into night and as it comes out into the morning, and you start hearing all the birds calling. Those two audible moments are two big moments I miss about the bush.
My best night sleep is always on safaris. Always. Just the night sounds. I don't know what it is. It's like they put you into this sleepy, tranquil kind of a feeling. Plus, it doesn't help being in absolutely good beds.
Yeah, the best, most comfortable beds ever.
With the best linens, and I love it. I sleep so well when I go on safari.
I need to tell you a story. So my wife has been probably the most fortunate human in the whole world to be able to spend as much time on safari as she has. She made me buy a bed from the lodge because she loved it so much. She's like, this is the best bed we need in a house.
Yep.
Not going back.
The beds definitely help, but it's more of the surrounding sounds of nature. I liken it almost like when our son was very little. If I needed him to sleep, I would put him into the car,
drive him around,
and we would drive him around, and he would just fall asleep. It's that motion, the sound, everything about it, and that's what I think about being on safari. It's just like the best feeling ever.
I used to work with a lodge manager who, if she sat in a vehicle on a game drive, instantly fall asleep. Like, she would literally sit in the vehicle, and before you got out like the lodge driveway, like fast asleep. She even used to warn people, like if they didn't know, they'd be like, Jaryd, I'm going to come on a game drive with you today, but there's a very high possibility that I'm going to be asleep, so don't feel offended.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this episode of Passport Diaries, and a special thank you to Jaryd from Dulini Safari Lodges for joining us and sharing his personal stories of being a safari guide. And keep an eye out, everyone, because Sherwin and Jaryd will be back in a later episode to share some of their favorite places to go in their home country of South Africa. Keep an eye out. Now, while you were listening to this episode, if something popped into your head and you were like, oh, I would love to hear about this very specific destination that maybe I'm thinking of going to in the new year, or I've always been curious about this specific type of travel, let us know. Send us a DM on Instagram. You can drop a comment, send us an email. Let us know, because we have over 200 extremely experienced travel advisors, and we can guarantee we have someone who has been where you want to go and would love to share their story. So thanks so much again, everyone, and until next time, safe travels from all of us here at Travel Store.